Her Journey to Healing, Reaching Women with a Desperate Cry is an 8-week Zoom seminar in which Kamala and Winston help women to start living their best life by rediscovering the image of God in their life. Kamala, a licensed marriage and family therapist, joins her husband of 16 years, an ordained pastor, to marry the clinical and the spiritual. You will begin living your best life filled with love, joy, and peace. Register at kwministries.net for this life-changing seminar.
The thing about that too, the mistake that I make often is try to love Kamala the way I want to be loved. Now, you know that's not love. That's me doing something to get something. Let me say it again. When you try to love someone the way you receive love. So for example, if I hear some good news and I get excited, I get really, really excited. And so if somebody tells me good news, I'm going to get excited. I'm going to get excited with that. And then I get mad because they're not getting excited. But that's really selfish. That's not reaching the person where they need to be met, but rather reaching the person where I need to be met in hopes of getting something in return.
You know, we in the therapy world like to feel like we know a lot of stuff, right? And so we talk about all kinds of different concepts, and we've done it all along the way. But nothing that we talk about is new as it relates to the Word of God. Here we are talking about how God is coming to get us, how we get to be now physically, not just mentally, a part of something.
Yes, Lord.
And so this was a concept that Maslow talked about a long time ago, love and belonging. He had this great hierarchy of needs, and if you've got safety and security, you've got shelter, you've got all of those things, then once you have that secure foundation, then you can focus on love and belonging. But here it is that God is saying you already belong. You don't have to worry about love and belonging in the way that Maslow talked about it. But the interesting thing is, just in the same way that Maslow identified that love and belonging is something that we need to thrive as human beings, here's where we're saying to you that, yeah, we agree. We do need love and belonging to thrive as human beings. We do need love and belonging to be able to experience care and compassion and empathy and having a place in the world. We do need love and belonging to be part of community. And yes, we're
in the kingdom of God.
Come here, Job. Let me ask you a question. What did you go through, Job? Well, I lost my children. I lost my livestock. Sores covered my body. So, Job, what was happening? Why were you going through all of this? You see, God had approached Satan and said to him, "Have you considered how faithful Job is?" Then Satan challenged God with, "Well, he's only faithful to you because you give him stuff." God laughed and said, "Do whatever you want to do with Job. Don't kill him, but watch him give me glory." What are you going through? What if whatever you're going through is to give God glory? What if whatever you're going through, whatever pain you're feeling, whatever suffering you're enduring, whatever challenge you're having, is to give God glory?
Hey, good evening and welcome to our Monday Night Live with KW.
And Jay.
Because if it's Monday night, you're
live with KWJ.
No, you gotta say the and. How are you doing this evening?
You know what? Let's get some realness for you guys. Every Monday we talk about gratitude, being able to celebrate something. I'm sitting here. We also talk about the need for authenticity too, right?
Right.
So there's two things going on for me right now. Today,
we're not Monday.
No, we're not Monday. Hear me on this one because I think it's going to be important for somebody. So I am tired, but I'm reflecting on the fact that I am tired because I have accomplished a lot today. Mm-hmm. I have a job that I go to. I have people that count on me. And I was able to perform. There's so many people who are lying somewhere, not able to perform today, not able to do the things that they need to do, who want to be able to feel tired for this reason. So I want to put that reframe out there on it for anybody who might be feeling tired today. Let's reflect on why we're there.
We can be grateful that we have a reason to be tired. I like that, Kamal. I like that. What are you? What are you grateful for, Pastor Gibson?
I'm just grateful for you two. I'm grateful for the two of you. That's just about as simplistic as I can get it today. I'm just grateful to have good friends like you two.
Well, we're grateful for you too. Pastor Gibson, the other day when Ari was doing his infusion, I told you Pastor Gibson texted us, "Hey, we can get family pizza," and so. Ari wrote your wife and told her next time you go to me, don't go to Daddy. I'm grateful tonight because our YouTube channel reaches 100 viewers. Now I know that's not but not for us.
We celebrated all 100 of y'all.
All
100 of y'all.
That liked our channel. You did not have to. We don't take it for granted. We are very, very, very grateful. And just be patient and stay tuned. That 100 is going to become 10,000. I'm speaking that into
short
existence.
order.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
I don't know how short of an order, but it's going to happen by God's grace. So, so we're grateful to be here tonight. What are we doing here? What is the purpose? What are we doing?
So, guys, I'm going to start off this way. So, we're doing a couple of things here. One, we're having authentic conversation with real people about real life stories and real ways that we are getting through, crawling through, walking through, standing through, and going through the things in our life. That's a big part of what we're doing.
That's what Dr. Robinson told us last week. Keep going.
Keep going, absolutely. So we share relatable stories, we hope, right? Because we also have you engaged in this conversation as well. We want for you to be inspired to continue in the road that you've been on, to not feel alone in your own struggles, and to just kind of journey with us. Mm-hmm. The second part of what we're doing is keeping shop. So I'm going to pause you right where you are. I don't care what you're doing. Stop and go to www.kwministries.net/shop at the bottom of your screen. If you navigate away from YouTube or wherever you are, I promise you,
we're right there in the
shop. If you get there in the shop, we will be there too. So you will not miss anything. So there are a couple of things I just want to highlight.
No, we can keep saying that. I hope that's true. I know we're in there, but
we're in there.
Okay, all right.
We're in there. But guys, when you get there, there is a lot of stuff for you to check out. If you're a person who's into books, we've got devotionals there.
Adult coloring.
Adult coloring. Go ahead.
Not the adult doesn't mean. Never mind. Look at Jason shaking his head back there. I just wanted to, Lord. I don't know how to recover from
Our
that.
devotional series actually has adult coloring book that is a companion. So if you've checked out any of our devotionals, feel free to check out our coloring book as well. So we've got a little bit of something for everybody.
And then there's the package that indicated on Unlearn to
the
Relearn.
Unlearn bundle. And what that is, the digital notebook. It's also digital stickers. And it's also, what's its third part of it? I'll tell you in a second.
A whole bunch of different stuff. But the idea of it is that we have garnered so much junk in our lives.
Yes.
We need to unlearn self-hate. We need to unlearn self-doubt. We need to unlearn self-criticism, which is different from self-reflection. It's really good. It's really good stuff.
Absolutely.
And then there are mugs, bags, and all that good stuff. So check out our store. I'm excited tonight. I'm really excited tonight about our guest tonight. Tonight we have with us Dr. Jason Bulgin, and I've actually been trying to get him for a very long time, and I'm so grateful to God that he has accepted our invitation to come. Dr. Bulgin is the executive pastor of the capital city, the great capital city, Seventh-day Adventist Church out in California. He is the founder of Edge Worship. He is a musician. He is an artist. He is one of the humblest persons. I succeeded him at a church, and how I met him was I called. What we normally do when we move from church to church is we speak to our predecessor so we can get the this, I was gonna say so we can get the gossip, but that's not true. That's not true. So we can get the, where are we? What are we doing as a church? What are we working on? You know what? Put Jason. He's laughing too much. Go ahead and put him in, okay? Because all he's doing is laughing at me. So I called my best friend Carl, and I said, "Hey, Pastor Jason Bulgin, I'm about to go to his church." And Pastor Brewer said, "Man, there is no better person on this planet." And the way he went on and on and on and on. And I'm talking to Carl, my best friend, so we're honest with each other. Carl say what's on his heart. He says he's one of the best person. And I called him, and oh my gosh, I called back Carl and I said, "Man, you're so right." In that very, very brief conversation, and my whole time, I spent about 7 months there. My whole time there, Dr. Bulgin was there for me in the simplest of ways, liking every single thing we did. Notice that everything we posted on our church Facebook, he would like. And I noticed it now, and I will never, ever, ever forget that. And Jason, I have continued that tradition. Every Sabbath, I intentionally go to look to see what they're doing and love it and comment on it because of what you did for me while I was there. So that's the person that we're talking to tonight. And I'm excited. I'm excited. Jimmy, you want to take? Well, let me first ask. Dr. Bulgin, tell us, what are you celebrating today? What are you thankful for today? What are you rejoicing about today?
I'm thankful for making it through the day.
Yeah.
Making it through the day. The kids had short days today because they're doing parent-teacher interviews. And out here in California, they shut down schools like half day. So I'm grateful that I got to spend the afternoon hanging out with one of my sons, playing basketball in the street because it's still warm out here in California. Hanging out and just, relaxing. I mean, we often take for granted the simple moments. So I'm grateful today for the simple, chill moments, being able to spend with my kids and just hang out.
Now, I want for us to talk about worship, and we are, but talk to me, because one of the things you're very intentional about doing, as a matter of fact, Pastor Gibson and I, we were saying it's amazing how we can know people before we ever met them. And and you tell me if I'm wrong, but one of the things you're very intentional about doing is spending time, intimate time with those boys. And I know you have young ladies at Oakwood, but those boys, you're very intentional about spending time. Talk to us as fathers about the importance of that and what's going on there.
Honestly, I'm really living out what I experienced. My father, he was a pastor before me, and he made time for me. There wasn't a soccer game he missed. There wasn't a tournament that he missed. He showed up. When I got to high school, we planned tournaments and did all those things, and he was there. He moved his schedule, he adjusted, and he made sure he was present. my growing up, my mom, she's a nurse by profession. So when we were growing up, she worked the night shift. So my dad was there during the day, and he would, every day he'd cook us, wake us up, we'd have worship, we'd do breakfast together. He'd make us breakfast, cornmeal porridge and all that stuff. Yeah, we'd have porridge and we'd go about our day, but he was present. He made sure he was there. He made sure it was known that he was around. And I try to do the same thing for my boys. I have memories of, going on bike rides with my dad. So I do that with my boys. Memories of just going in the backyard and playing and throwing a ball around. But they ask for those things. And if I continue to put it off, that's going to be their memory, as opposed to making the most of those moments and being a part of their life, being a part of their experience at this stage. They'll never forget that.
I read something and it said that kids where their fathers are close to them are most likely to do well in school, are most likely to not go to jail, are most likely, and all the different markers that are there that you call negative stuff in life. It says if children have their fathers close to them at a young age, those things, they're less likely to go down the wrong path. So let me lead into two questions. Define worship for us, and I want to follow up with your dad, because you lost your dad still recently.
Yeah.
How has worship helped in that healing process? And then I'll let the experts take over from there.
Honestly, when I look at worship, I break it down to a language, a love language.
Hashtag worship is a love language.
Yeah, it's a love language. It's a way of getting out the deepest expression of appreciation and gratitude. Worship is a connection point. It is an offering, so many different things. But when I think of worship, it's just giving all that I have to my Creator, giving all that I have to what I'm appreciative of, and just putting it back that way. That's how I would sum up worship. It's a love language. Yeah.
That's nice. And how has that helped on your healing journey with losing your dad?
So on my healing journey, it's my safe space. It's my when you usually talk about love languages, it's talking about your exchange between a partner and yourself, or just relational. But even with worship being my love language, it's an exchange between me and my Maker, me and my God. So it's just, what does He have to say to me? What does He have to give back to me to encourage? And what do I have to give to Him? Sometimes my worship is thankful. Sometimes my worship is lament. Sometimes my worship is it's just silence and just listening. It's all different kinds of spaces, but it's one-on-one time with me and my Maker, me and my Creator, and we vibe back and forth. He deposits what He has for me, and I try to be open and just clear the space so that I can receive what He has. And through those experiences, that's where my writing comes from. That's where music comes from. That's where sometimes just ideas to share and things come from. But it's in those moments of worship that those things are deposited. Yeah.
So I've been thinking about your original statement, which we hashtag worship.
Oh, I saw you thinking.
Isn't that obvious?
It ruffled you. Wait a minute, what?
Because I was it really spoke to me. Worship is a love language. And I don't think anybody comes to that kind of definition just kind of by happenstance, right? We don't just get up one day like, you know what? Worship is a love language. Like, that's not how it happens. So I'm really curious for you, how did you get to that definition of worship being a love language?
You want me to be honest?
I do.
So honestly, I was sitting here watching the pre-show commercials.
Yeah.
And I saw you all talking about love languages. And then you asked me about worship. And it's like what came to mind was it's just that connection piece. And it just made sense. And when I thought about it and broke it down, it was just like, yeah, like that actually makes sense. It's just that connection point, that relation point. I mean, we study. I mean, as you're a marriage and family counselor, so you understand those dynamics of the love languages and how you receive and how you give, and then what you give may not be what that person wants to receive. But when you come to worship as a love language, that's all he wants from us. He wants our worship. That's all he wants. So it's an easy relationship. It's easy to give, but oftentimes we find it so hard because we put other things in the way. When it's really just us getting down to the basics of just loving on, just clearing everything out of the way and loving on our Creator.
That's good.
You also sorry, go ahead, Jimmy.
No, go ahead and follow with your follow-up question.
Well, my thought was, you also mentioned in that kind of breaking down of it that worship is a lament. And when we heard that, it kind of pinged for both of us. When we heard that, my thought was more along the lines of, gosh, that's a really flexible understanding of a love language, because in love, whether it's worship or we're talking about relationship with intimate partners, friends, family, whatever the case might be, there's hills and valleys to that, right? There's good days when we're all lovely, fine and dandy, and then there's some days where it's, man, I don't know about you today. And when I hear you say worship is also lament, actually, you know what? You expand on that. Worship is lament.
I mean, so when I look at even the relationships in my life, the closest relationships that I have are relationships where I'm able to share what I don't like, to share what hurts me, to share what pains me, what really is tearing me apart, and be honest about that. So it's not shying away from those moments or those feelings, but leaning into them and knowing that I'm safe in this space to share that, because you'll hold me up in that space. You'll handle me with care in that space, even though I'm, vulnerable, being vulnerable.
Yeah. Man, I don't gotta pretend with God.
I don't have to pretend with God. That's good. I don't have to celebrate Monday as a coping mechanism. I can say this was a horrible day, and He's good at that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, Jim.
No, so Dr. Bulgin, your dad was a pastor, public figure. How have you navigated? So I relate in the sense that my dad was on KGO. And so when I was in Market Street, my dad dies in 1991. And when you come to church, the one comment that rubbed me every single time when I came to church was, I miss your dad. And for me, I was young and preaching then. I almost cussed every time I came to church. So walk us through how those type of comments affect you, and how do you deal with them in that church context? Because folks are saying it with a good intention, but it has a bad rub to it.
Well, let me ask you, what was the bad rub for you?
That I miss my dad too.
Okay.
So when someone would say, man, I really miss seeing your dad on Saturday nights, on Sunday nights doing Sports Extra. My first response, well, I miss my dad coming home after Sports Extra.
Yeah.
And so that was the rub for me, is that I understand what they were saying. But at the time, I was 23.
My dad was more than somebody.
And I was 23. I was 23 when my dad dies.
Yeah.
And unlike you, I didn't have my dad as much.
Yeah.
It was after him and my mom separated, it was whenever I could get him.
Yeah.
And so then now that I only had him literally for 3 years.
Mercy.
That I could understand who dad was. So how does that how do those type of, interactions with individuals, how does it affect you? Does it affect you adversely? And how do
So,
you deal with them?
so I had to, or I have to, even continuously, I have to heal in my own space on my own time, so that when I get into those situations and hear those things, I can empathize. I can, share. It's a process, because like even at the beginning, like people would say some sideways things, or even the challenge for me was people putting their grief on me and wanting me to feel how they feel. When I've already processed how I'm feeling, how I'm coping, I've processed it, I've gone through it, I'm continually going through it, and I'm at peace. So they want to pull me back into this place of just unrest, pull me back in this place of crying and I'm not there. So it was just a matter of me getting to the point where I healed and then stepped out, healed. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I had to do the work for myself before I presented myself to people. And a lot of times what we do is oftentimes we rush ourselves into spaces that we're not ready for. And then get upset because we can't handle what the world is just giving to us, what they're just naturally, what we know where they're going to give to us. And then want to blame them when we didn't do our own job of protecting ourselves, taking care of ourselves and healing and going through that process. We want to blame everybody else. So trying to take responsibility for my feelings, my emotions, my memories, my everything that is wrapped up in who my father was and what he meant to me. Take that, deal with it, walk with it, handle it, wear it, whatever I need to do, but do it in a way where I'm still able to move forward, because life does go on, and it's real. It's like so even in this season for me, my dad passed in June, and my senior pastor went on sabbatical for 3 months beginning September. I was gone for most of July, and then I came back to a church to run a church by myself. We're used to running with a team, run it by myself. And I had to show up ready to do that. I had to show up to hear people, you must feel so bad, and go through all their memories of my father, all the memories of their fathers and everyone before, and be able to process that and be present, show up for funerals and bury other people, bury other fathers, bury children, all these things, and show up and be present. So I had to do the work. I had to go to therapy. I had to go and, dig in and just have conversation. Don't be afraid to share. And sometimes get up in front of the people and say, I'm not okay today. I'm not feeling that way. And be open about my feelings, what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing. I'm here. I'm showing up. I'm going to give you all I got. But at the same time, know that your pastor's hurting. Know that Jason is hurting. Forget your pastor. Jason is hurting. And I mean, if I want to sit down right now, I will. But just be real about it. I think oftentimes we're so worried about letting people down, or just dropping or coming outside of this box of who a pastor is supposed to be, or who a person in front is supposed to be, that we do harm to ourselves. I'm determined to be me, be honest about who I am, and show up that way. God made me. So there's enough grace in there's enough grace for who I am to show up in the room.
How did you learn how did you unlearn that first set of things where you're supposed to show up in this space in this particular way? And then how did you relearn this new way?
It's been a process. The biggest challenge was in marriage. So historically, I've been a person that has been, I'm very accommodating naturally. I'm a very accommodating person. So I'll put my feelings aside I'll put my ideas aside to make sure that you're okay. And I've done that over the years and created a habit out of it. What I found when I got married, I began to suffer because I was always accommodating, and I wasn't speaking from a place. I wasn't speaking my heart or my feelings, and I was silently struggling, or silently, struggling. So in the process of figuring out, okay, what is wrong, or opening up in that space, I was like, maybe this is something I need to carry out in different spaces, and figure out how to show up in all these different spaces, and be okay with sharing how I feel, regardless of who's in the room, and not being apologetic, and own my feelings, own what I bring to the table, and let it fall where it may. Not being afraid of disappointing people because I think differently, or disappointing people because my ideas don't necessarily line up with what you think they should be, or my ideas don't fall in line with the role that I feel that you historically have this framework for. And in me doing that, it actually broke down a lot more walls and allowed me to connect with more people, honestly, because I was showing up as my true self, as opposed to showing up who I thought people wanted me to be. And when you show up to rooms as your true self, that's when the connection happens.
That's good.
I'm on a roll tonight, aren't I? How has that impacted not just your experience of worship for yourself, but impacted that worship experience collectively?
That you lead people into.
So a few weeks ago, I shared with the congregation that what was the statement? Feel free to be free.
Hashtag.
We have this idea that we've been taught or trained that freedom, or we just have this, how do I put it? Our idea of freedom isn't really free. Our idea of freedom within our context is so restrictive. But when you compare to just how someone would be free in just their natural life and their natural habitat, like you go inside somebody's house and tell them, act like you're free. But to use that same language in a sanctuary, in a church setting, those are two different views of freedom, because of the shame attached to what freedom actually looks like. And just trying to release people, I mean, this whole edge worship thing is just trying to release people to, have that freedom in a space of worship, have that freedom to encounter God. We see God every day. We see God in so many different ways, and we respond to him, but we've been trained, or we've learned, or we've passed down this bondage type of response, as opposed to just being free and being unapologetic. So if I want to cry, I'll cry. If I want to scream, I'll scream. If I need to walk around just to express that I need to let go of some things or leave something behind, I can do that. It's okay. I don't have to feel restricted in my seat. I don't have to feel restricted in this space. Like, one of the things that ideas, or the things that want to create, even with the edge worship community, is creating worship spaces with no chairs, creating worship spaces with no seats. So there's no room for you to be relaxed or be bound in that space. You come in this space and feel free to be free, whatever. If that means laying on the ground, if that means laying on your back, whatever that means. But untraining or retraining our minds to have a different view of what freedom is in the space of worship.
It's now 8:30, and so I'm watching that clock, because what I wanted for us to talk about your faith journey into Edge, that faith walk. All right, so I want for us to get there. But Kamala and you poked a beer that I wasn't ready for, but y'all did. So let's go. How our members will fight us. So you talked about our natural habitats, and I immediately thought about the football stadium. Jimmy's taking me to a football game in December, and I know that people are going to be screaming and shouting in basketball game, or I'm down south, a family reunion. Everybody is excited, and these same people now, you take them and you put them in church, and whoever they were at the family reunion or the game is completely a different person, and they will fight you to the death for you to say to them, hey, that's bondage behavior. That's
bondage behavior.
That's not holy. That's not even you.
Yeah.
How do we communicate? How have you been communicating in a way that people can hear you so you can help them to be free?
It's not about talking, honestly. As a teacher, my model was I do, we do, you do. So I have to first model it. I have to set the example of what that looks like. We can do it together, learn it together, and then you're released to do it on your own, however that looks for you. I can't prescribe what it looks like for you, but I first have to model that freedom in my life as, one of the leaders in the space, and continue to echo the language of it, but it goes beyond what I say. It's what you see. That's been the challenge. I mean, we say these things, but what do people see? We say a lot. Our faith, or our faith, or our let's say Adventism period is built on what we know, opposed to who we know and what that does for us.
Yeah.
So to move up within these realms, it's based on what you know, as opposed to an experience or the parts of an experience. So my greatest experiences in God was when I said, I don't know. The greatest move of God in my life was when I said, I don't know. I can't.
And was okay with it.
And being okay with it. I heard one person say it's the art of not knowing and being okay with it. Like, you got to get to that place where you don't have to have all the answers. We pride ourselves, like we've been trained and gone through life with having all the answers, having the truth, having everything mapped out and all the formulas, answers, Daniel, Revelation, all of that wrapped up in one. We have the answers. We pride ourselves on knowing. But what don't we know? What don't we understand?
And Jason, that goes and it flies in the face of Hebrews 1. It flies in the face where it says hope, faith is the hope of things not seen.
Not seen.
So our faith has been based on what we can't see.
Right.
But yet our concrete trust is on everything that we see.
Right.
And
performance.
That we cannot. I thought about the woman in 1 Samuel. Her vision was bigger than her sight. She says, I want a son. She gets him. He dies. She says, I'll be back. I need to go talk to the man of God. That's a mama right there, Kamala. Yeah. She said, I'll be back. He told me something, and I'm expecting it now. I can't see it, but I'm no, Doc. You told me that I was gonna have me a son for a long time. This ain't a long time, Doc.
Yeah, it's too short.
And it's okay. It's okay to not know. And
there's a freedom.
It's a freedom in not knowing. And literally, I just had that revelation like about a year ago. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. It's okay for me not to have every single answer to every single thing.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Bulgin, what I hear you say is what's important for us as spiritual leaders is to model abundant life. Jesus says, I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. And if we can model because the fact, if our members, if we're not free, then we're not enjoying the abundant life that God offers. And no matter saying, hey, we're not free, it's not going to help us.
No.
What they need to see is us modeling abundant life. Do I hear you clearly?
Yeah. How can you take someone to a place you've never been?
Right.
You can't.
You can't.
You don't know how to get there. Right.
You can't take people places you haven't been. So you've now you've now shut yourself off from a portion of what the Bible teaches because you're able to access this part because of your limited your inability to open your mind and say I don't know, or to in your inability to tap into that side. You've limited yourself, and that's where you see the legalist idea and all that, because what you know is the law, and you can prove the law. You can X on X and X, but what you don't know is how the spirit moves because you haven't experienced the spirit. So it becomes a real challenge in our spaces because it becomes very legalistic because we truly haven't been affected by the Holy Spirit.
Yes. Talk.
There was something that struck me earlier when you talked about even the changes in the environment. We don't have chairs in this room, and I've been kind of mulling over it because, as people, we associate meaning with things. So if I'm in this space that looks the way this space has always looked, it feels the way this space has always felt, I'm probably going to be more prone to act the way I've always acted.
Right.
But if we really look at the environment and create flexibility in the environment, you definitely go get the pushback for sure, but you can create flexibility in people's experience of the environment.
Right.
And that really struck me, because along with that authentic modeling of it's okay to be me in this space, also what does this space look like and what does it encourage? I don't know.
And I don't have to define that space for you.
Yeah.
What you're saying is, as we gather together, you experience, you define what this moment feels and like for you. I love it. I love it. All right, Pastor, talk to us about Edge. What is Edge worship? And share with us your story of how you started Edge worship, how you heard God's voice, and how you stepped out on faith. Now, let me real quick before Pastor starts that we have a great gift for you this evening. Dr. Bulgin have sweat hoodies, and we want to give someone one of those. How you get it is you have to talk to us. So as you're there, you can just jump in the conversation. Sister Valentine said, Pastor, thank you. I needed to hear that. Feel free to be free. So just jump in the conversation, and then we will do a drum roll, and you can win a hoodie, and we will send that to you. Thank you very much for being here tonight. We're really grateful to all of you. Jump in the conversation. Pastor, what is Edge? How did this start? And talk to us.
So Edge has, how do I put this? So it was birthed in like 2019, 2018. But it was an outflowing of some of what we've just been talking about. The lack of freedom. And in the lack of freedom, I was put out. I was fired. Had the choice of resigning or being fired. And I actually told my church this past week. I told them part of the story, but the thing about it was that I knew what I was called to do, and I did whatever it took to make that happen. So it wasn't contingent on being hired. It wasn't contingent on being in a certain space. It wasn't contingent on all these things that we think it's contingent on. For example, like I didn't do theology in school. I did education. And part of the reason I didn't do theology, I had a real problem with jockeying with my brothers and sisters to get a position to serve God. I had a problem with that. It was kind of a weird kind of dynamic. So I did another next best thing, did education. But all that to say, I was put out and I was like, I'm still called to do this. You still said what you said to me. So how do I create that space and just live out what you called me to do? And that's where the Edge was born. Started in our living room. And we had worship gatherings in our living room. It expanded. We had a space. There was an iteration of a church, if you want to call it that. But we just kept on gathering and kept on worshiping together. And it blossomed and it morphed where we're creating music. It's now a collective, a worship collective where we create music, create worship spaces, trying to plug in just creatives into the space to just express freely what God has given them and find resources to do that, whether it be grants, whether it be people supporting. Last year, we were blessed to purchase a mobile ministry unit, which is a huge trailer where we can basically set up any space to have a worship gathering. You can go into a club and set it up and have a worship gathering. We can go to a park, have a worship gathering. We can set it up on the corner, have a worship gathering. Whatever we need to do, wherever we need to go, we can create a space and put the gospel out, let people experience the love of God and the love of music, all in that space. There is, and I see in the comments, where is Edge located? Edge, there's no real location. It's wherever you are. Edge stands for Everyday God Encounters. So where do you see God in your life every day? So wherever you are is wherever you're experiencing God, that's where the Edge is. So we have gatherings. We're working on the different spaces. Like we've had gatherings here in Sacramento. We've done Southern California. We're working on doing one in Toronto, Canada. We did one in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm just working on different spaces to create this experience and, just give people the opportunity to worship freely, uninhibited, and just see what flows from those moments. Give people permission to be free in the presence of the Lord and see what the Lord does, see what the Spirit does and how it moves, and just flow with it.
I want to ask a quantitative question. Well, what are some of the outcomes you've seen with Edge?
So in the early stages, it's so interesting as I look at these people, like the early adopters, the people who walked with us in the early stages. When I talk to them even today, and this is like years down the line, it's just like you see the evolution of where they are in their Jesus experience. They're no longer bound by how do I put it? They're not bound by the limitations that we so often put on people as the church. They're running to be led and to hear what the Spirit has to say to them and being led by that. So it's amazing to see them on their journey and how God is leading them and to see the different spaces they're able to go into and not feel like they have to look over their shoulder because they know God is with them wherever they go. They understand that God can use all different kinds of experiences in different spaces, and you see them moving in these spaces. It's amazing to see. It's just really a testimony of what God can do when you throw away all that you have, all that you know, all that you want to do, and allow Him to lead.
Mac is asking, Hey Mac, are you ever going to come to New Jersey?
We'd love to come to New Jersey. We're talking about doing actually a whole East Coast tour, just coming out and just hitting different spots in the East Coast, and just going New York, Jersey. We talked about even Philly. Yeah, just going hitting that side. So yeah, even if you have connects, we can connect and figure out how to make it happen. But yeah, we're just open to just getting out there. Yes.
That's right. The institution like the institution. I love it. Pastor, one of the things that our philosophy here is we want to reach people with a desperate cry, and a desperate cry here being defined as emotional pain, emotional. How does this freedom help with emotional healing? And I say this every time. I was talking with the COO of a hospital, and he said to me that mental health is making buku money right now. Jimmy and I pastor in a city where Shreveport is actually the 4th to 6th worst city for mental health crisis in the United States of America. How does worship, how does this freeness in worship help to heal this catastrophe and epidemic that we're going through right now?
I would say it part of it is that it relieves some of the expectations. Actually, it redefines what okay looks like. And embraces where you are. Everyone wants to be okay. Everyone wants to be, healed and strong. But finding this place of worship allows you to be vulnerable, allows you to be open, and allows you to feel the safety of a savior who is able to fill the voids that this life has created, just the pains of this life has created. That's what worship does. It heals us, right? And then when you have a community that walks alongside with you, a healthy community that walks alongside with you, they're now the hands and feet of what the Spirit has now done for you in terms of allowing you that safe space. Yeah.
And when you have a healthy community that walks alongside of you, we're going to talk about this every week.
Community, the need for people. The need for other people. Go ahead, Jim.
As always looking at it, and that space with Jesus was healthy in the sense that you never hear Jesus ask, "What happened to you? Why are you this way? Why did you do this?" The woman at the well, he doesn't tell her, "Why you sleep with 5 men that weren't your husband?" He never says that. And when the healthy space that we can worship in, when we're not, when the whole community, as you say, is not looking at, I wonder why that person is crying. I wonder why he or she is laying on the floor. Who cares?
I'm having my own experience.
I'm not, and I used the experience of me being in the ICU back in 2013. I didn't care what happened in room 18. I could see it. I didn't care what happened in room 20. All I wanted to know was, when was the doctor coming to room 19? And when he came to room 19, praise the Lord, I wasn't worried about why that one got a tube, why that one got this. All I was worried about, Lord, when you gonna get the tube out my throat? When you gonna get me my Dilaudid shot so I can get through to some of this pain? And our worship has to be that we're not so concerned about what other people are doing, that we're just worship. That Acts chapter 2 experience had to be something amazing.
That's good stuff. Mhm.
Had to be amazing.
Yeah.
You know, Dr. Bulgin, Jesus said, take the plank out of your own eyes so you can see clearly to take the little piece of dust out of somebody else's eye. And we look at that text from a negative perspective. We look at that text from a, what Jimmy just described perspective. Why am I so concerned and caught up in what somebody else is doing? But that, I think there is a really constructive healing property to that text. Deal with your trauma. Deal with heal.
But no, notice the part about it though. There's a speck in someone else, but there's a plank in yours.
Yes.
Bigger.
That's
Like,
right.
but we're operating in a space where we think everything else on the outside is bigger than our issue.
No, it can't be. You can't see all you can see is a speck of the person. Whatever you see in other people's lives is just a speck to what the reality is. But you can have a clear glimpse of the trauma that's in your own life. And if our people would just get to the point, well, like you said, if we leaders would model about dealing with our trauma through one way being worship, then we would be able to provide some modeling and healing for each other.
There's a word that you often use, and I think you, Dr. Bulgin, as well as Pastor Gibson, I think you will relate to this as well. There's a word that we use quite often now, and that word is authenticity.
Yeah.
And we talk about it a lot in the context of why, the younger generations are not a part of church, but people reach for authenticity among each other. People want to be able to be themselves. And being able to create that, being able to be a part of that experience of being authentic myself, so that somebody else can be authentic.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah. Like one of the things I'm talking with a friend a few months ago, and something I'm adapting for myself is, if all of me can't show up, I'm not coming.
Woo!
If all of me can't show up, then I'm not coming. That means if who I am, holistically, if I have to take off a part of me to fit into your room, I'm not coming.
Mac is asking, what does authentic look like? What does authentic look like?
What does it look like? Authentic look like? I mean, it's just honesty.
Yeah.
I don't even know. It's being okay with who you are, flaws and all. It's being okay with being comfortable, not okay, it's just comfortable in who you are, knowing that it can change. Right. I mean,
it doesn't mean I don't know that there is need for growth.
Yeah.
But this is where I am on my journey.
Yeah. And it's just being honest about it and being real about, like you said, the need for growth or the need for change, the need to, continue to develop, the need to, figure things out and being okay with that. Don't know everything.
There goes a great example. I don't know. You ask me a question, I don't know the answer to it. Instead of trying to make up something, I can say, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's pretty subjective, right?
Yeah. The challenge is we have, and I think Doc said it earlier, we have been taught to wear masks. We're I said all the time, Doc, we're more Gnostics than Adventists. We know a lot of stuff. We have a lot of information, and that information, we use that information sometimes to as masks.
Yeah.
So when people see us, they see the Sabbath. When people see us, they see the state of the dead. When people see us, they see our information. They see our
and those
doctrine.
things. Don't get me wrong; those things are important.
Of course.
However,
it's not us.
It's not the first thing. It's not the first thing that comes into the room. We
That's
throw
right.
all this information in front of the room through the door before we actually enter the room.
That's
and people
right.
can't receive us or the information because there's so much junk in the middle of it.
That's
People
right.
are in this age are looking for a relationship. So I have to show up first. If I don't show up first, you'll never get any of the information. If I don't show up in the room and connect with you, say hello, you're never going to receive any of the information. So we have to put ourselves in a position where we walk into the room first, then the information follows, not because we're telling or commanding, but because we're modeling and showing.
That's
and that
right.
makes a huge difference.
That's right. And
I was only going to add in that I think, even in the question itself, can we give an example of what authentic looks like? Often is our challenge, because then we present a picture of what authenticity should be, and then we try to aspire to that, as opposed to what you just said, which is entering the room as myself,
as who I am. And the challenge with wearing information as massing ourselves in information is people are not blind. People see us interacting and we're mean, we're arrogant, we're anxious, and the list goes on, and they're like, wait a minute, you have all that information, but it's not doing anything for you. No. What do I want that information for?
It hasn't changed you.
It hasn't changed you.
You've sat under this teaching for 15, 20 years, and you're the same person?
No, wait, I'm worse. Because now I'm arrogant, because I've been in this thing longer than you. I now have a right to it.
But we all have our. I'm not there to point my finger at anybody, but it is what it is. Like,
it is what it is, man.
We all have challenges. We all have our hiccups and hangups and whatever it may be. But at the same time, we have to understand that, the Holy Spirit changes. The Holy Spirit changes us.
Yes.
The Holy Spirit grows us. God, we cannot, if we stand still, we're not moving forward. We're dying. When you stop growing, when you stop learning, when you stop engaging, when you stop trying, you're dying. So how do we continue to grow and evolve and learn? Like the same, if we do the same thing that we were doing as simple as 2018, we're behind.
Right.
That's how fast time is moving. Like there's we got to shift things.
But again, we serve a God that never changes. So.
because the scope of who he is big enough to encompass all that change. We're never going to be in a place where we reach who he is.
That's right.
We're never going to be in a place like, so we can always strive for better, strive for greater, strive for
right.
But we're never going to be in a place. That's why he's constantly perfecting. We're constantly growing and developing. And he just wants to be along with us as we strive for that. And he's going to help us with that. But it's when we give up and we say, I'm good, I've arrived. That becomes the challenging part.
All right.
The moment when we don't think that we can ask God questions.
Yes.
If I have a question, you go to the person that you think you have an answer. Mm-hmm. So Dr. Bulgin, I'll come to you. You do music. Doc, I have a music question.
Yeah.
Sister Kamala, I got a marriage question.
Yeah.
Pastor, I got a spiritual question.
Yeah.
I go to people that I'm not going to go to a football player that has a major in finance and ask them about psychology.
Right.
It doesn't make. God is the one with the answers.
And I don't have to create questions that sound good. I come with a genuine question that I have. What's my question? I don't have to try and ask Kamala's question. What's my authentic question? All right, Pastor, we are out of time, but before we go, we also said that you're an artist. How do we get your music? How do we get to listen to the stuff that you have? And how do we purchase? We're going to give away a hoodie tonight, but if we wanted to get one of our own, how do we get that? And for, let's put up the website, Auntie. And then for like Pastor McIntosh, how do we get Edge to come to our city? Talk to us, Pastor.
Oh boy. Yeah, so what we do, make sure that's down. There we go. Can you hear me still?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, great. So you can link up with me through drjasonbulgin.com, the website. All the things you'll find there. But music-wise, you can find us on YouTube and all digital platforms is where you can purchase music and find music there. It's under Pastor Jason Bulgin and Edge Worship, and find all the music there. If you want to connect with us and get us out to your city, just go to the website, drop us a line, connect with us. We'll be more than happy to facilitate that and make that happen. We're excited about, just connecting and just always building relationships. Follow us on Instagram at EdgeWC, and follow us on Facebook, same handle, EdgeWC. Just connect with us on social media, shoot us a message, drop us a message, let us know where you are in your journey. Love to hear about that, and just walk with you. Create a safe space for you to share about what God is doing in your life, how you're encountering God and what you're seeing him do in your life. And then it's always good to chart, the path for the next steps.
Feel free to be free. Annika, who won our hoodie tonight? Who won our hoodie? Who won our hoodie?
Please.
And we need to put in that music, man. Every week we say it.
I know, right?
Who won our hoodie tonight? All right, let's see.
Who's it gonna be?
Jimmy can't win.
Awesome.
All right, so Mac has won. Mac, all you have to do now is head over to, it's coming up on your screen,
www.ministries.net/claim-your-prize.
and all you got to do, go there, fill out your information. Then we're going to get your hoodie out to you. So please head on over to
Pure niceness.
www.kwministries.net/claim-your-prize, and get your prize. Dr. Bulgin, it was well worth it. It was a long time coming, sir, but the conversation was fun. Somebody said, Matt said, tonight is solid. Thank you. Sister, yes, I saw where she said,
God has the answers.
God has the answers, a Sister Weidman. But then Sister Valentine said, there's something she said earlier. Scroll down a little bit. Not that one. She said that God was with you all tonight. So there's some. Yes, there's something. What it said? These pastors, God has y'all on it tonight. Thank you all so much. So people were blessed, and we want to say thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Bulgin. Like I said, we want to say thank you, everyone, for coming on and for listening. Jimmy, you want to take the last word really, really fast?
No, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Bulgin. We appreciate you, man. Love you like a fat kid love cake, and I'm a fat kid that loves cake. Just saying.
I appreciate you all, man. I enjoyed the conversation. You picked my brain and taught me to pull things out that, haven't really thought of, but it was a good conversation. I'm going to go back and watch and,
it was good.
Write some things down, maybe get some notes for some presentations and stuff. But
I got to get out to Sacramento and see you, man. I got to get out there to Sacramento and see you.
Come on out.
Good.
Still
or we
sunny.
could just invite him here, Jimmy. We could just,
No, I got to get back to the Bay Area, man. I love the Bay Area. And then I got to go a little bit north up to Sacramento, up I-80.
All right. Again, thank you all. We really appreciate it. Come on, it was Monday night.
You're live with KW and Jay.
All right. Have a wonderful night, everybody.